In the beginning, there wasn't any much of a vision or philosophy. You just feel the urgency. If you can do a little, you do that little to help. Sometimes when you can't preserve it well, I feel documentation is also a way of preservation because things are in passing, especially those that we consider living culture. That is not like a piece of things. And then of course gradually when we have the opportunity, some artifacts, then we gradually move even deeper into preserving entire buildings to entire village. So we've gone through that evolution. And now at this point, if you're looking at a vision, what is it, let's say the future of conservation in my mind, then I'm hoping that those that what we have started small and become bigger and bigger and leaving bigger and bigger footprints will become an inspiration for future generation, the next generation, to continue what we have started. I think if you look at the two huge area of conservation of heritage, natural heritage and cultural heritage, sometimes the line is not that fine, it blurs. For example, hunting culture, it deals a lot with nature. In the past, if you are passionate about culture, you tend to neglect nature. Just like in the case of Dr. Bleich and me, he's interested in wildlife.
And because it's dry in the winter and wet.
I'm interested in the hunting culture. So how do you arbitrate between those? And then in terms of tradition that you asked about and modernism, how do you integrate the two? Is there some ethnic use of medicine that is very basic but tested in their own case rather than clinically tested in our modern science? Are we going to be able to embrace some of those and look at those as knowledge? I think even just nearby the Li Su, we have quietly supported several studies on the not only the hunting study, collecting studies, but indigenous use of traditional medicine, be it animal or plant in their medicine. And I think that happens with many of the hill tribes, many of the indigenous groups throughout the world. The main concern is that the younger generation are no longer living it. The urbanization is a worldwide phenomenon. People from the countryside want to get to the big cities because it's more colorful, there's jobs there. They get to meet different people in the village. You have very limited exposure. They are all attracted to a homogeneous lifestyle, listening to the same music, watching the same movies. So I think in the old days when you're brought up without all these outside contexts, then you have no choice. There are too many choices for them now. And they tend to move towards what is considered the more advanced state of lifestyle. So it is hard to bring them back to the traditional culture of spending hours weaving a piece of skirt or whatever. So how are we going to arbitrate that? How are we going to attract them? One way is, of course, finding an economic value for these things, that people are still willing to pay a high price for it, that they look at it as, okay, in the daytime, that's my daytime job, be it I'm putting on costume to dance or whatever. That's one aspect of it. I think in principle, after years of working in preserving culture and nature, tends to be that younger people likes the outdoor, they have the energy. But older people, at certain age, they're really appreciative of their own culture. So in overall, I think to force younger people to digest culture is not the most natural or effective way. Perhaps let them be closer to nature. But at certain age, like people that are retired, they're far more engaging in preserving their own culture. So if you do age segmentation, maybe you can be more successful. What we preserve, I hope that by the time they are older, they start seeing the value. So often that by the time we want to revisit something or save something, it's no longer possible. So with non-profit group, I think we have the foresight to preserve things even though people may not appreciate at the time. But I'm pretty sure in future, when it becomes the last piece of something surviving, the value will really blossom. One qualifying statement I like to make is that, like the lifestyle is becoming more colorful, but the meaning of life becoming, life itself is becoming less meaningful. So how are we going to revive that to find meaning of things is something that I think is for our generation to answer. And of course, I think new things coming in, younger people replacing the old is a natural process. And it's not like we have to hang on to the old style without giving way. I hope with some of what we do, we will inspire young people to spare some of those time to have some quality, slower pace of life rather than everything has to be exciting and fast track. And a certain spiritual part of the life is missing, but there may be ways to bring it back alive.